Alright, you beautiful peoples of the interwebs, me Glyn here, Cheapskate Gaming News, Tech Reviews, and I'm going to pop my cherry on a bit of old Cyberpunk, because ironically, it's the one game I've not played. When it first came out, I wasn't really sort of grabbed by the hype around it. I remember seeing the reveal years before it came out, and I thought, well, this looks interesting, blah, blah, blah. And then I think it was about a few months before the game was actually due to launch, they did some sort of gameplay trailers when they were playing the game, and I could see within that, when they showed the trailers of it, it didn't look very good. It looked unfinished, and I was right. Usually I'm quite good at telling from gameplay footage videos if a game is going to fundamentally be working well or not on release. I kind of did it. All my mates were like, Battlefield 24, oh, it looks superb, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it looks a bit janky to me. I mean, Battlefield, like I said in my review of Battlefield, it's one of those games where it will be good eventually, but it released in a bit of a sorry state. And this is a game that did that as well, Cyberpunk. It got endless amounts of criticism. Endless amounts. I mean, it was essentially the No Man's Sky moment for CD Projekt Red, wasn't it? You know, remember when No Man's Sky released? That got crapped on a ton load when that got released, and this game got crapped on times 10, plus that hit the fan as well. So anyway, forget all that. I saw water under the bridge. I never played it back then, so there's a 5-hour trial, so there's no excuse not to try it if you never tried it before and you're not sure if you're into it. So what is Cyberpunk? Well, essentially, take one shot off Grand Theft Auto, take another shot off Fallout 4, another shot off Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and there's one other game I think that it's like as well. Oh yeah, and one shot of Mass Effect. So take those 4 games, mold them all together, and then bring out, and what do you get? You get something very similar to Cyberpunk. So how do I mean that? Well, it's an open world set in a dystopian city, so you've got your sort of Grand Theft Auto bit in there where you can sort of go around the city. It's a living, breathing city, and it's quite densely packed with people. There's always plenty of missions and stuff like that, and side quests you can go and do, and that sort of ties in a bit with Fallout as well. There's a lot of conversation pieces in the game, so when you're talking to people, you can choose different have different choices of how your conversation goes, and they can change the outcome. So that's the sort of Mass Effect bit in there as well, where, you know, depending on your conversation can change the outcome. Deus Ex, because of all the sort of cyberpunk aesthetic and all the gadgets and toys that you can eventually put on your character. You can design your own character, so you're not stuck with a generic character. You build your own character at the start of the game, so that's very much like, say, something like Fallout, where you choose all your character at the start of Fallout. So yeah, it's kind of really a bulge of all those 4 games together. Now, I have to say, I found the game fascinating, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of the sort of futuristic stuff. Like, when it comes to Fallout or Skyrim, I you know, hands down, I'll admit, I prefer the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I'm more of a fantasy type guy, you know, poking dragons with sticks, you know, that type of thing, rather than future guns and future tech and robots and all that. Although, you know, I don't mind it, but that's just the way I prefer. You know, as a kid, I used to like reading fighting fantasy books. I don't know if you ever read those, Steve Jackson and Livingston. I always preferred the you know, the Death Trap dungeons over the Starship Pilot type ones, because they did sort of those books. They did do future ones, and they did do ones that were sort of set in sort of mythical, sort of Lord of the Ringsian type settings, and I always preferred that to the future stuff. But anyway, that aside, I have to say, first up, I was very impressed with the graphics. It's got really nice lighting in the game. And I played this at performance mode. Funny thing is, I tried out the ray tracing mode. One of the first bits I started the game off in. I was looking around, and then I went back into the menu and changed it to performance mode, and I couldn't actually see any difference with using ray tracing. It was still using screen space reflection, so I don't know if you have to actually restart the game to actually get RT mode to run. But to be honest, I'm not a fan of 30 frames a second when you're in first person mode. You know, third person mode I can get away with it a little bit, but first person mode, definitely not a fan of 30 frames a second. You know, that's why performance mode 60 FPS, and it was mostly a stable 60 FPS. I did notice a few little judders and jerks here and there. Now, I'm only on the free trial, and I've put about four hours and something into it, and I haven't really found any game-breaking bugs. Like, it's never reset on me, it's never crashed. I did find a bit, I'll try and put it on the screen now, where I did notice the cars in the distance were just like they were coming into view and then just disappearing, which, you know, doesn't look great, to be honest, does it? But it's just a really sort of small, insignificant thing. You can look past that. It kind of breaks down the immersion for a bit, but I was willing to let that leave. I was like, well, maybe that's just another bug that they'll eventually sort out. And apparently they are still working on patches. So this is patch 1.5. And I believe sometime in the near future 1.6 is going to come out, so they're going to change a few more bugs. Now, because it's only 5 hours of play you get, I didn't really get into the souping myself up or using extra tech on me. There is a bit of the scene where you go and sit in the chair and they put some new bits on you, allow you to scan your eyes and that type of thing. I think I got into one or two big fights. There was a bit I didn't record, but it was like a virtual reality training part where you start to use your gun and all that, and then there was one big shootout which I'll put in the while I'm talking about it now, and I quite enjoyed that. It was quite a good shootout. The guns handled well. I enjoyed the guns. The car driving, yeah, but it's no worse than every other third person sort of car driving game, to be honest. You know, it's not focused on car driving. The cars are there just to get you around the city, to get you to your next mission. There's a few little cutscenes where like action cutscenes I enjoyed, where I think you're in a car, you're on a getaway, and you have to shoot the guys out the vans that are chasing you. That all worked perfectly well, and you know, great. And the city does actually feel quite alive as well. I was quite impressed with that. You know, there's plenty of people walking about. I know they're a little bit generic looking. The character animation's a little bit generic, but you know, it adds the sense. Now, the things that did impress me were the attention to details, things like fashion. Ironic, I'm the last guy on earth that's into fashion, but the like the future clothes that they were wearing, that fascinated me in this game. I was going around quite a bit and sort of scanning what the girls are wearing, what the guys are wearing, because it was quite interesting, especially this one bit. Hopefully I captured it, where the girl's wearing sort of a translucent hood with LED sort of strip lights running out. I just thought, wow, that's really sort of come out of someone's head, and the kind of thing you would actually expect to see in the future. It's not too far out, but it's within the realms of possibility. The other thing I have to mention was the haptic feedback. So I was playing this on PS5 because that's what the trial's on, but I don't think it makes a difference if you're playing on Xbox or PS5, or Xbox Series X or PS5. I think both versions are going to be just as good as each other. But the one thing that the PS5 does have the advantage for is that haptic feedback, and I have to say, they've done a really good job of the haptic feedbacks on this game. It can be a bit of hit and miss, the haptics sometimes, but the trigger pulls on the guns, they felt good. They're not too weighty, but just enough that each shot felt really good, and the cars felt really good. The brake pedal has that sort of, like, if you drive in real life, it has that sort of hard squishiness that a brake pedal does have. So the brake and accelerator of the car are haptically fed. I'm not sure what other haptics are in there, but I'm sure there are more later on in the game. And yeah, so like I say, I was never there in the beginning, so I can't really condemn Cyberpunk for what it was before, but I can say at the moment, is it worth picking up? Well, it's at the moment it's half price on on the PlayStation Store, and it's £19.99. So you pay £19.99 for what looks like this game could put 30, 40, 50 hours plus maybe even 100 hours if there's 3 different variations to the game that you could go through and play and then choose different answers. So it's ultimately replayable, a bit like Skyrim is. And it's at the moment it's 20 quid, and they're going to be updating it even more. So is it worth 20 quid? Yes. Would I pay 40 quid for it? Maybe not. But when this trial is over, I am going to go and pay for the 20 quid. Now, I was thinking, do I pay... I myself, I prefer physical versions, but of course, what I was thinking, I thought I could pick this up for about 18 quid off base.com or somewhere like that. But... and then I suddenly thought, well, hold on, the game that's on the disc isn't going to be the game that I'm playing, because it's had such a big update that the game on the disc would be the buggy mess that it released as, whereas they basically redone most of the game now. They've changed everything in the game, the UI, the graphics, everything. So the whole thing is literally a download as such. So for the extra £1 or £2 of £19.99, it's probably worth just picking up the digital edition. And then it's across both it's across your consoles, and it's there on your hard drive forever. You always delete it when you finished it, and then re-download it when you want to play it again, type thing. So I think I'm definitely going to go for that. So having never played Cyberpunk before, I am now going to go and purchase it. Excellent, really good. Like I say, I'm not really into the Cyberpunk aesthetic, but the game itself, can't see a problem with it. Like I say, 4 or 5 hours in, I haven't hit a bug. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, definitely worth checking out for PS5 or Xbox Series X for £19.99. It's a bargain, it's cheap, and that's what we like on this channel here. Good quality software that is affordable and get plenty of longevity out of it. Is it still a super high quality game? I haven't finished it yet, so I can't really review it, but I would give it an 8 out of 10 from what I've played so far. I can see that it still needs a little bit of work, like I said, with those cars disappearing and reappearing, but I found the story on it fascinating. I went the Corpo one. Oh, that's an interesting one as well. No, it's on the start. You get 3 choices, and on the left-hand side, which would be this side on the camera, is the sort of... I can't remember what it's called, but it's almost sort of like it's political, because you got left-leaning, mid, and right-leaning. And it's like as if the right wing is right wing corpo, which is a bit like politics. Is right wing politics is very corporate led. Left wing politics is very sort of like hippie-ish. I think it's called the Nomad, isn't it, on Cyberpunk? But that's what left wing is, very much like Nomad-ish as well. And middle is just like the normal people, the normies then down the middle. So anyway, yeah, I chose the corpo to start off with. Don't know why. I just thought pick one, so that's what I picked anyway. So it'll be interesting. So when I buy the game, I'm going to restart it, and I'll probably go from left to right and play it through a few times. If I really enjoy it in the first one, then that's what I'll do. So yeah, this is getting on a bit now. So Cyberpunk 2077 had the next gen update. It's been totally fixed, redone, rehashed. It's out at 20 odd quid for digital buy. Go get it. You might be surprised. Okay, this is Glyn, Cheapskate Gaming News Tech Reviews, and I'll see you next one. Bye now.